So we're talking to sports marketer Carole Beckford. And since it's Champs season, yes, Champs ISSA Grace Kennedy Championships for Girls and Boys 2024 is currently underway. So in our interview segment today, we wanted to find out some things like the cost for sponsorship this year and also the impact of this magnanimous event. So, what are the dates for Boys and Girls Champs 2024, which we know started yesterday?
Champs 2024 is March 19 to 23, and it is the 25th year of the merged product. So Champs the merger would have started in 1999, where Jamaica College and St. Jago won the Boys and Girls Champs respectively. A little background is that the Games Mistresses Association had the girls and ISSA had the boys. And then, back and forth over the years, the girls always did well. If you check our history, you'd see that the girls won medals, or the women won a lot more medals before. And so there was always discussion. So there was a discussion, and ISSA merged the champs in 1999.
And what is the budget or spending for this year's Champs?
It's an approximation of $180 million that has been invested in champs for 2024. I have no doubt it costs more, but in terms of actual dollars. But that investment looks at the staging of the event for 5 days. And so the planning, so it's a rental of the facility, which happens a few days before champs. And then all that execution for opening and a closing ceremony, which in itself is an event. And I understand they're going to be doing a fabulous lighting show for 2024. The investment also covers grants to the schools and it looks at development. So over the years, Grace Kennedy has spoken about the investment with regards to development of the athlete, of the full athlete, and they've put money into development, the basics of work off the field.
What does the budget encompass?
Grace has a broad band of products and services, and they have integrated it in a really spectacular way. Um, so this has become the Grace ISSA Boys and Girls Championships, and so a lot of what is made, the patrons fill up the stadium, um, and also there is an agreement with One Spot Media to broadcast it globally. I mean, this is a massive spectacle when you look at what happens, and it really puts Jamaica on show in a positive light. So almost 2,500 athletes will participate. They have all qualified for their respective events, field and track events, and they will compete from classes 4 to 1. What that means, you'll probably have a child as young as 11 and a child as old as 19 participating. Those are the age groups.
Now, sporting activities across the world is a very humongous spend for different categories and disciplines of sports. But what is the impact that the Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships have on Jamaica's economy?
It all right. So sport tourists or people who participate in sports as fans are they tend to spend on some basics: food, entertainment, lodging. So those are three top areas, and of course the merchandise. So they wear their school colors, and so from the global picture, the sport tourist is among the top three spenders as tourists. And I'd imagine a sports fan like myself, I have a shirt, a shorts, pajama, towels, everything you can think of, and paraphernalia, cups. I mean, those things. And that is the way that fans are doing. And the schools have their merchandising down pat. I mean, if you use from the boys' example, you have Kingston College, Calabar, JC, and all those fans will be all over. St. Jago as a co-ed school. But equally, there are some of the smaller schools that have smaller teams that are now coming to fore, and this is the way they represent. And the colors, when you look at the kaleidoscope of colors in the stadium, it is really fantastic. So merchandise. So when you look at that, I mean, we have not, to be honest, calculated the spend of a sports fan in Jamaica. And you've given me idea for research. So yes, we'll look at that for sure. Yes, a wide ranging is from breakfast to dinner when you look at it, because remember you're there most of the day. And it's considered, I say sports fans are big spenders. And so even after they go somewhere for a lime to talk about the day's activities, and at the end of the day on Saturday night, there are a few parties in and around the area. Some people journey back to their homes and they have limes on the school premises. And so there are different ways. So when you look at that, it kind of says the impact that sports does have on a society. So yes, there's the economic um, impact, but there's also the social. And so people find the opportunity to get together. A lot of reunions are also planned. And so from a diaspora standpoint, people actually flying. And so there's travel, right? So there are a number of ways. Um, what I would ask is that ISSA makes it a concerted effort to kind of do a survey so it can have additional data and to really speak targetedly how that sports fan contributes to what exists in sports. So you have close to 2,500 athletes and trainers and management and teachers and so on, but they also have support staff. And if your child is likely to be the class 2 winner, you're going to come into even on the day to even watch, the semifinals and finals. So it is considerable. The impact socially too is that this is where you meet friends and you end up going on the curve team when you start under 17, under 20, and you could end up on the Olympic and the World Championship team. And lots of the athletes over the years, Simone Facey, Veronica Campbell, they've all maintained contact with each other through life by just competing at champs. So even though you're contending and you're running against each other, jumping, skipping against each other, at some point you compete for Jamaica. I mean, an interesting story. Brianna Liston, the twins, Tia and Tina Clayton, and I think Karika Hill, all ran on a 4x1 team for a primary school championships outside. So it moves around, the JTA organizes and they move around the region. They ran on a relay team probably 10 years ago. And so it's likely that for the next Olympics, I'm not picking anybody here, but they could be part of the relay team for Jamaica at the next, certainly at 2024 Olympics and so on. So you make friendships. So it has impact all around.
How would you advise the governing body regarding necessary investments in champs and other sporting activities?
All right. So I've been advocating for more support financially and otherwise. But an important part of sport development in Jamaica is venues, to have access to good venues, good surfaces. One of the things although we compete well at the global level, we don't have the same access to development. And so things like infrastructure needs to be critical. And for us as fans, we need somewhere comfortable to sit. I think there should be a development of an incentive program with a private public sector partnership. So the government makes an investment and private sector matches it. We are a developing economy, and I understand, but we have to be more creative with how we juxtapose what the economic returns are. Over time, the social inclusion and all of that stuff will impact on communities. So the better the schools do, the better the communities react and respond to the development of sports. And I think an incentive program and a public private sector partnership should be pursued in a really vigilant way to ensure that sports is seen as one of the driving sectors for economic development in Jamaica.
And how much revenue does ISSA generate from ticket sales?
I don't have a thing, but when I spoke to the president probably last week, they're like just about 200 tickets left for grandstand. Now that seats probably 5,900. Season tickets are 23,000. Yes, and the finish lines I think are a little higher. So there are some parts of the stadium. I have no idea of what. I am sure Mr. Wellington probably could tell us, but Champs is always full. People buy tickets, but there's also a considerable amount of money they make from broadcast rights. And so you pay $30.99 for the season pass. and that's early bird, so you probably pay up to 35 US dollars. And if 20,000, 30,000 of us are watching globally, or even some of us who live here who don't want to go to the stadium to watch, that's a massive um income. So broadcast rights are big things. Ticketing and branding and marketing. Those are three major ways that the investment, and it goes back into development of the athlete and development of the schools in some instance, because of course you're content for prizes. So you know, it is a whole ecosystem, and it's track and field, but it's a benefit for all its other sporting programs, because track and field is probably the most popular it's a sport at the moment.